as we await word on a potential peace deal. President Trump weighing in over the weekend on the status of negotiations with Lara Trump on Saturday.
But we're close to a very good deal, and if we can make it good, otherwise we just start up with the Department of War. The one guarantee that I have to have is that there will be no nuclear weapons. They've agreed to that. And it was very interesting. They originally said, we will not develop a nuclear weapon. I said, well, what happens if you buy a nuclear weapon? So now it says we will not develop or in any way purchase a military weapon. That's a big difference.
All right, Trey Yingst, he's got the difference now. He makes the difference in Tel Aviv, and he's live with more. Trey, where are we? Hello.
Yeah, hey, Bill, good morning. U.S. forces conducted multiple strikes on Iranian targets over the weekend. According to Central Command, we understand these strikes went after Iranian radar systems and command and control sites for drones in Gorak, Iran, along the coast and on Keshem Island. CENTCOM described the action as defensive in nature to prevent Iran from attacking international shipping lanes, and after Iran shot down a $4 million U.S. drone. The Iranians responded by targeting Kuwait with drones and missiles early this morning. Overnight, President Trump posted to Truth Social, saying in part, Iran really wants to make a deal, and it will be a good one for the USA and those that are with us. Iran's parliament speaker and top negotiator Mohammad Khalibaf said this on Sunday about the ongoing talks.
What matters to us are the tangible achievements we must obtain in order to undertake our own commitments in return. And until we are certain that we have secured the rights of the Iranian nation, we will not approve any agreement.
New this morning, Iran's foreign minister trying to attach the possible deal with the United States to the situation in Lebanon. He said on X, the ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. is unequivocally a ceasefire on all fronts, including in Lebanon. Its violation on one front is a violation of the ceasefire on all fronts. The U.S. and Israel are responsible for the consequences of any violation. Over the weekend, Hezbollah launched more than 50 rockets into northern Israel as Israeli ground forces pushed deeper into southern Lebanon. This morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the IDF to strike the Lebanese capital of Beirut, specifically the Dahya neighborhood, a Hezbollah stronghold. Since that announcement, thousands have fled the area in this part of Beirut in cars and on foot.
There will not be a situation where Hezbollah attacks our cities and our citizens and its terror headquarters in Beirut, and the Dahya remain out of bounds.
Iranian officials still trying to tie the situation in Lebanon to a broader agreement with the United States. Bill?
Trey, one of the questions I get the most over the weekend was why it's so difficult to try and read between the lines on the negotiations. And it could be because the president's keeping his cards close. And it could be because the Iranian leadership is so filled with subterfuge over the years. Based on your experience there in the region, how would you best address that question, Trey?
Yeah, Bill, it's a great question. And look, it's a game of telephone for the Iranians. They have a network of couriers, and they are delivering messages from negotiators like the parliament speaker Khalibaf to Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei, who is likely hiding deep underground, worried that if this war does resume, he would be a primary target for the United States and Israel. And so this is one reason why it's been so difficult to get information out of Iran.
Okay,
Bill?
Trey, back at it again on this Monday. Thank you, Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. Jillian's got more.
All right, let's bring in Rebecca Heinrich. She is a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute. Rebecca, it is a whole new world, new way of doing business. We've talked about before, President Trump is going at this thing every which way, all at once. He's trying to negotiate a deal while threatening the use of military force, while using military force, targeting the Iranians. Is it ultimately going to work out in his favor, though?
Well, Jillian, that was great reporting by Trey. I want to add also to what he just said. The other thing that's difficult about the United States negotiating with these Iranians is some of the individuals who we think may want a deal, some of those leaders we just heard from, do not feel like they have the ability to enforce it because you have the IRGC shooting at U.S. forces and operating along the coastline. This is why the United States Central Command continues to act defensively to try to get ships through the strait at the same time negotiations continue. So over the weekend, we heard that the United States struck these IRGC anti-ship sites, command and control on Qasem Island. That island is a central node system for all of Iran's coastal defenses. So even though we might feel very frustrated that we're not getting closer to negotiations, the Trump administration is still weakening Iran's coercive control over the United States by taking out a lot of these really key systems along the Strait of Hormuz's coastline. Jillian.
They are, though, the regime, proving very adept at one thing, and that is buying themselves time. A lot of experts I've been talking to are questioning President Trump's claims that those at the top really do want a deal. They say what these people actually want is to be negotiating a deal that never goes anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that the Iranians want to simply wear down the United States and its regional allies and partners, wear them down politically. We've got elections coming up. And so they think that time is on their side when it comes to the political timeline. I would argue that President Trump actually understands this correctly, that time is on our side because of the pressure that the United States continues to put on Iran. Jillian, economically, over the weekend, the United States put more sanctions on these shadow networks in Hong Kong, read China, that has been helping Iran evade sanctions. And then, of course, putting on this, it's essentially Project Freedom to put pressure on these IRGC coastal defenses while letting, I heard over the last 3 weeks, we've quietly helped 70 ships get through the Strait of Hormuz. And so we're getting oil flowing even as the United States, again, at least rhetorically, is trying diplomacy, Jillian.
One person who agrees with you on that point, Secretary of War Hegseth. Take a listen to what he said.
Having been in the room with him, I know he means it when he looks in the camera in the cabinet room and said they can either do this now through a deal, and we think we're in a good place to make that deal, or they can deal with the War Department. And we are prepared. We're postured even stronger today than we were on day one to address it that way if we have to, but he'd prefer not to.
How much more time would you give the regime if you were leading these negotiations on the U.S. side?
Well, look, I would just keep our goals in mind. Our goal is to get the Strait of Hormuz open and make sure that the Iranians are not the ones that can control and coerce over the strait. And we are chipping away exactly at that goal. And, of course, the other goal is to make sure that the Iranians never have a nuclear weapon. And I'm very comfortable right now that the military action that the United States and Israel has already taken has already bought us a significant amount of time. And so I think as long as we're getting ships through the Strait of Hormuz, it's essentially, again, it's Project Freedom, except we're just not calling it that. And then, then I'm comfortable that the United States can continue to squeeze the regime. I think that President Trump also understands that he cannot permit the unfreezing of Iranian resources. And the Qataris have already said we're not going to unfreeze this $12 billion that we've frozen in these Iranian accounts. And so as long as the Iranians do not get any relief, there's no reason for the United States to grant them relief, then we are the ones that have the total military and economic advantage.
And as long as they are continually prohibited from accessing the so-called nuclear dust buried deep beneath rubble in the mountains there. Rebecca Heinrichs, thanks for joining us this morning. Good to talk to you. Bill?
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.